Hello, you're watching Calling All Stations. Firstly, apologies for the lateness in getting this video up. I was off work ill last week from pretty tasty flu. That was a really good way to spend my bank holiday weekend. Anyway, it meant that I couldn't get round to uploading some videos and doing some stuff that I wanted to do last week. But time to get back on track with that all. I will be doing a answer video for the question and answer session that I did last time. I've got lots of really good responses and things to think about there. More importantly, I've got an answer and a solution finally to my DCC Cobalt point motor problem that I was having. So really thrilled to find a solution to that, and I'll be talking about that in an upcoming video. I did want to do some stuff down at London Bridge and show you the new concourse that's recently opened, but most people have now covered that, and sadly I was just in bed feeling sorry for myself that week, so maybe I won't do that one. But I do need to do some more layout stuff, and I do need to do running videos, which brings me nicely on to this video. Now, this is a layout update with a slight twist. I'm going to be showing you some software. This basically came about a couple of different reasons. One is a kind of solution to one of the problems I was talking about in the question and answer video. I wanted to get into some very simple automation, and to do that you have to start with some software or an app. The second one was, well, basically, if you've been following the channel from the start, you'll know that I use an old iPhone to control the locomotives, and I've got all my locos stored on the Roco Z21 app in here. And they basically control all the functions on the locos, the movement, the lights, the directions, all that kind of stuff. And then I use a tablet, again with the Roco Z21 app, to control all my points, and I have all my routes set up, and this just sort of sits on the side of the layout over there, and then I can just instantly access routes and points and all that kind of accessory business that's a bit fiddly to do just on the iPhone. I mean, you can do it, you can control the locos, you can control the points, accessories, lights from all one handset. You don't have to split it up, but I just wanted to have sort of locos in one hand and then points and stuff in the other hand. Now, I came around to make you guys a running video yesterday, and I loaded up all the locos and stock I wanted to use on the track, and I got around to turning this on, and it's just kind of stuck in a charging loop. It turns itself on, then it says I've got no battery, so I'm going to charge. I leave it for a good few hours and it's still doing the same thing. So I wonder if it's because I've left it sitting dormant for quite a while, that something's happened to the battery. I'm not sure what's going on. It is kind of a really cheap sort of 30 quid thing that I got from Tesco's, so it's no massive loss. I'm a bit disappointed that it's died, if it has died, but that means I couldn't do a running video yesterday, and I needed to find a solution to my accessory decoder problem, because I needed a way to change points, I needed a way of easily selecting routes, and yes, I could have gone through and programmed it on the iPhone, but it is a little bit fiddly, to say the least. So this video is going to be a little look into a piece of software called iTrain, which I found really useful to do some simple programming of routes. But I'm going to do a nice broad overview. Nobody's really done a really good sort of introduction video to this piece of software online, so I'm going to do exactly that now. Okay, so let's take a look at iTrain then. Now, you can download iTrain from i-train.nl. and it is a free version of a paid-for piece of software. Now, I've been trying out various different DCC control pieces of software. I've tried out JMRI, I've tried out Rockrail, and all of them offer some kind of trial. Usually it's sort of 30 days, and then beyond 30 days you can pay for an upgrade to unlock all the features. So iTrain is no different, but the good thing about iTrain is the free version lasts forever. You just get a limited amount of options and functionality. Now, one of those limits is you can only use up to 3 locomotives before they require you to buy at least the light version, which you can see is €79. Not quite sure how that translates into pounds at the moment, but anyway, on the light version you can have 256 locos, and if you went up to the professional version you can have unlimited. Well, for most people's use 256 will probably be ample, but anyway, on the free version you only get to use 3, and accessories are also limited to 32. But that's fine, I only need 32 accessories, and for me this is more about controlling accessories than it is about the loco. However, I will show you how to set up and to control locos through iTrain.
So yeah, you can download it through i-train.nl, and it's available for Mac, OS X and Linux as well, which is pretty flexible, which is pretty good. Okay, so when you first load up the piece of software, you'll be presented by this window, this huge grey space, and what looks like is going to be some locomotive controls. So let's first set up your DCC command control interface. So to do that, go to Edit and Interface, and it's compatible with all these command stations. Now, most of these I've not really heard of. But ECOS, I think ECOS is Bachmann's one. Do correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, my one is the Roco Z21, so I'm going to select that. I'm not going to go into too much details about all the other sort of configuration options. It should just boot up now off the back of that. All you got to do is hit connect, and then you get a sort of a little dialog down there, Z21 online. So we are now connected to my command station, which is excellent. Okay, so let's show you how to do some very simple things in iTrain. Let's see how to control a locomotive. This is obviously the control panel for the locomotives, but to get it to run, we need to add some locomotives. So if we go to Edit and Locomotives, we can start setting up our locomotive roster, or our locomotive directory. So if you click on New, give your loco a name. I'm going to test to class 24. You can also give it a separate description if you want. I'm just going to call it class 24 as well. You can really go into some detail with the description of these locos. You can choose length, you can choose all sorts of speed functions, options, permissions. I'm not going to go into that, but I am going to add the lighting functions. So to do that, just enable it under Use. I know the lighting function is function 0. Double click under Type, and we're going to select front and rear lights. This is just an icon, by the way. You could select anything and it would still work, but this is just to give you a nice icon of directional control. So I'm going to click on that. I can change the description of that if I want to. I'm not going to. And that is function set up. Now, one last thing to do is obviously set the decoder value, so we know, so the piece of software knows which loco to control, which DCC chip to control. Now you want to bring down this type drop down menu, and we're interested in the top 4. The DCC is the chip that we're all familiar with in the UK, and then in brackets is the speed steps. So 14 gives you the smallest amount of speed steps, and 126 obviously gives you the largest amount of control. I'm going to select 126, but you're welcome to choose one of the smaller values if you so need to. And in the address, it's obviously quite simple. You just punch in what the address of your loco is, and no prizes for guessing that my loco address is number 24. Make sure the interface says Z21. That should now all be set to run that locomotive. So if we hit apply, we now get that in our locomotive roster, and we can safely close this up. Now in our locomotive control panel, we can either double click on class 24 up here, or we can select it from our drop down list. This would provide a list of all the locomotives had you selected more than one. So we're going to click on class 24. And then it's as simple as dragging this slider. Now I'm not sure which direction. And there our loco is running away. So this button obviously changes the direction, so I can move it back into shot now. And then this one turns on and off the lights. I'm just going to move that out of the way. You can also use and set up shortcuts if you so wish. So D, if I press that, that's changing the direction there. And if I press L, that's going to turn on and off the lights. Hopefully you can see that just happening in the background of that shot. So that's dead simple. That's how you can control a locomotive. It's a little bit more fiddly than saying having a handheld controller, but it's certainly quite easy to set up and very simple to use. If your loco is a sound loco, when we can right click on this, by the way, and click properties to bring up the locomotive's properties. If it was a sound loco, you can just keep adding functions in, and there you go, there's sort of sound, turn on the sound. Maybe you've got cab lights, maybe you've got horns, all that kind of stuff. You can then add in those functions, and then they start to appear here. I can click on them, but it's not going to do anything because my loco is not sound fitted. Okay, so with the Loco setup, I'm now going to show you how to set up a simple route diagram, a simple track plan, and add in some accessories. So you'll notice this massive grey area. This is where we're going to make a layout plan and add some accessories and some turnouts and some signals to that. So to do that, again, we need to go to Edit and Switchboard, and this brings up, I just need to give it a name. I'm going to give it Croxley Test. Okay, that, and this then gives us a grid plan and sort of a tool to start building a layout. So what I'm going to do is recreate the track plan that you can see down there in the bottom of the screen. It's basically a platform and 2 branch lines. So to add a piece of track to the diagram, just click on where you want to add the piece of track, and then double click one of these icons. So I'm going to double click the straight. If I want to rotate it, press R, and the R button will rotate it, or I can click over there and rotate it before I've even added it. Now if you want to add more than one piece, you can just click and highlight and then double click again, and you've got a nice straight piece of track. So I'm just going to delete a couple of these and then add in some turnouts. So I'm going to click here and add in a junction, which we've got on our layout. Add in some more straight track there. Add in a curved piece, and again, if this wasn't lining up, you can just press R to rotate it, and it sort of dynamically works out what you're trying to do and matches up the 2 pieces of track. And then I'm just going to add in some more straights there. So that is now our layout diagram. It doesn't look very complicated, but that's all we've got down on Croxley West. So we can apply that and save that and OK that. And we now get this lit up in white, and we now get a track diagram. Now if I click on the turnout, at the moment nothing is happening. We need to tell iTrain that this is an accessory with a decoder and to give it some functionality. So to do that, we can go back to the switchboard, under Edit Switchboard, and we can double click on our accessory. Now under name, we can give it a simple name. I'm going to call this Crox Junction. And then a description, a more descriptive term of what that is. Croxley to Fiddleyard Junction. Now under type, we could change it if we'd got it wrong first time. Under initial state, this is what the point will set to when you turn on the layout. I've actually got this function disabled under iTrain preferences because I kind of want the routes to define to reset the layout. But if you're a kind of person who wanted to completely blank slate your layout when you turned it on, this is a really great feature, and you can tell the point which way to set when you turn the layout on. Make sure the interface is Z21. Now we don't need to worry about some of the more in-depth features of this property page. Certainly sort of length, options, comments. We don't really need to get bogged down in this, nor do we need to get bogged down in protocol and activation time. What we are worried about is these functions down here. So usage, I'm going to explain about that later, but basically single is it's one accessory. If you had a slip or you had a more complicated signal that's got 2 addresses, that's where you change it to either double, triple or something else. Address, now I know this address of this point is 913, and when I hit enter, you'll notice these output options of the state of the point or the state of the turnout is going to change. I'm going to hit enter, and now it's going to read accessory 913, and it's going to do something when the output of 913 is 1, or it's going to do something when the output of 913 is 2. Now you only have 2 states for this setup point. It's simple turnout, straight on, or the branch line. Don't worry about green and red. These don't have anything to do with signals. These are just to help you illustrate in your mind which way the point's turning. You might be familiar to add in an accessory and it's saying left and right, or you might be familiar to adding an accessory like I am on the Roco Z21. It's output 0 and output 1. In this case, it's output 1 and output 2. Output 1 defaults to green, output 2 defaults to red. But we can ignore the fact that it says green and red. It doesn't have anything to do with the signal. So once that's set up, you can press OK. And now if I hover over this turnout, it now tells me what accessory that is. And it's quite descriptive. It tells me the name, it tells me the address, and it tells me the longer description as well. I also have now a list of my accessories over in the left-hand corner. So again, apply that, and OK, and we go back to our layout diagram. So now you'll see we've got a little grayed out function, a little grayed out piece of track where our point is now going to switch. So at the moment it's aligned to the main line, and we can press it to align it to the junction. Now the eagle-eyed of you will notice that my point is actually going the wrong way. When I've got it set to the main line, it's actually on the junction in real life, and if I put it to the junction, it's actually the main line in real life. So I need to swap over these two states. Again, to do this, I can either go to Edit and Switchboard and going that way. I can also go into Edit and Accessories and see a individual list of just the accessories and change it there. Or you can right-click on the diagram and go Properties of Crocs Junction. Now we need to go back to the output and basically swap these over. We need to swap over red and green, and that's where the sort of the red and the green options come into things. But you could also kind of work it out from the output options here. You can also turn it off as well if you didn't want anything to happen, but I'm basically going to switch these options over. So green is going to become red, or 1 is going to become 2, and 2 is going to become 1. OK, go back to the layout. Now what should happen is when I'm on the straight on the main line, it should stay where it is, and now it should switch to the junction. And I can keep clicking and turning that point back and forth. So that is how you add in a turnout to your layout. Now I'm going to show you how to do a signal as well. So this time I'm going to add it in the accessories. You can of course do it in the switchboard, but I'm just going to show you how to do it in accessories as well. It's basically the same process, but I would recommend using the accessory editor to add lots of accessories at the same time if you need to. And then it makes kind of assigning them in the layout editor a lot more intuitive and a lot easier. So I'm going to go ahead and click new, because at the moment we're editing Croxley Junction and we don't want to do that. We want to create a new one. Click new and click signal. Now there are loads of other options for things that iTrain will decode. I'm not going to go into those today, maybe won't even go into them ever if I don't get those functionalities. But basically iTrain will operate in an automatic fashion if you want it to. It will do sort of automatic moving of trains if you've got block detection set up, but I haven't, so I'm not going to go into that too much. So again, we're going to click signal and we're going to give it a name. So I'm going to say CRX a Croxley A, and this is Croxley Station Starter. Again, type, there's a whole range of things that this could be. Most of these are European style signals, but I'm going to just pick the general signal type. The initial state, again, we can change that if we want it to default to something when we turn on the layout, turn on the DCC controller. Under usage, again, this is just a two-aspect headed signal, so I just want single, and I know that the address is 861. Now I need to add some state mapping. So if I go to state mapping, we can see all the options that this signal could do. And as I said, because this is only a two-aspect signal, we can safely disable all the other options that the software could do. And we can also change these to nothing just in case, or we can press the delete key as we go down, as we don't need sort of restricted working, we don't need shunting. So again, it's going to give you some output options, and we'll take a look at how this is corresponding to the real life signal in just a moment. But we can hit apply, and now that signal is stored in the memory of iTrain. So to add that signal to the layout, we're going to go back to our switchboard editor. I'm just going to delete a piece of track to add it in, and then we can just double click to add it in. Now double clicking on the item will bring up our signal properties. Now we don't have to add this time, we've already created it, so we can go to board item and signal, and there it is already stored. Croxley A, accessory decoder 861, Croxley Station Starter. That's exactly what we want. And we can also, if we wanted to, assign a keyboard shortcut to that signal, should we so desire. So that is now set up and ready to go. So let's apply that and have a look at what it's doing. Now, exactly the same as the point, the mapping of the accessory is around the wrong way. So if I click red, if I click green and then back to red, it's displaying the wrong way round. So when it's green on the layout plan, it's red in real life. So we basically just need to reverse the polarity of our accessory decoder. So we can right click on it and go to properties of Croxley A. And again, we just need to swap around these output types. Now, I would concern yourself with output 1 and 2. I wouldn't get bogged down into the fact that it says I can't remember if I've done that around the right way now. Yes, the top one should be output 1 and the bottom one should be output 2. I wouldn't get bogged down with the green and red, because now red is green and green is red. It's all very confusing. Just worry about 1 and 2 and the accessory number. I wouldn't worry about this green and red business. This is just a trait of iTrain to try and help you visualize. It doesn't quite work in this instance because the decoder is set a different way round. I would worry about it as being output 1 and output 2. Output 1 is going to control the red light and output 2 is going to control the green light. So we can OK that, and now if we switch our signal back and forth, it should be doing it the right way round, which it is, and which is great. So now we have some accessories set up. I'm going to show you how to do a route. Now, a route basically is a command that sets loads of different accessories all at the same time. So you could set up, for example, like I have, and I'll show you in a minute, I will set all the points in one go to move trains from Woodford Wells platform 1 to Croxley West. And I can just press one button and it will set all the points and configure all the signals in one go. It's really great and it's a really useful feature. So to do that, we need to go back to our switchboard again, edit, sorry, I was on the wrong program, edit and switchboard. And we need to create a new route. Now, if we look down here at some of the additional features that iTrain will do, we need to look at this icon here, track route. Now, you can add this in as part of the actual track diagram like that. That's perfectly acceptable. And quite a lot of people who use iTrain will tell you that's probably the best way to do things. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little panel of buttons over here. So I'm going to create one there and one there. So I'm just going to highlight some boxes, add in some text using the ABC button, double click on the ABC, and I'm going to say Croxley to mainline. There we go, and OK that. Now to set up a route, just double click on your blue route icon, and this is a function, so when you press this on the layout, when I click this, it's going to do some things. So if I go back and look at the switchboard and look at the properties, now again, you can pre-set up your track routes if you want to, but if you're going to set up a fresh track route, go to track routes and you can give it a name. So again, I'm going to say Croxley to junction, Croxley to branch line, and set turnout to branch and signal to clear. Then I can add in as many accessories as I like on this route. So I'm going to insert 2, and for the first one I'm going to choose a signal, and now I can choose an accessory, and if you set up various different accessories, this is where they'd now appear, and this is when it starts to get easy. If you've already set up all your accessories properly first, you'll just get a nice long list and you'll just pick exactly the one you're expecting. So I'm going to pick the station there, and I'm going to set the state to clear. When I do this route, I want the signal to clear and the point set. So the other one is going to be a turnout. I can leave that alone, and accessory type is going to be Croxley to Fiddleyard Junction. And I want it to be on the branch line. I can OK that, and now I can set up the next one, Croxley to the main line. Again, I'm going to say Crox to main line, and description is set turnout to main line and signal to danger this time. And again, I'm going to insert 2 accessories. I'm going to change one to the signal. I'm going to change one to our signal rate 861 that we've already set up. And I'm going to leave the state as stop. For the turnout, again, I'm going to use the turnout that we've set up, accessory 913, and I'm going to leave it as straight on. Let's OK that, apply, and go back to our board. So now we're back on our layout, and we've got these 2 additional blue blobs that we've pre-programmed in with our routes. So at the moment the line is set to the main line and the signal is set to red. So what I want to do is to Croxley to branch line. I want to press this, and what's going to happen, the point is going to change to the junction and the signal is going to set to green. and it's done just that. Now, it's interesting to note here that the point now has a little locked icon, and the route indicator has a little illuminated blue light, or a little sky blue colour that's now replaced the dark blue colour that was there before. This basically means nothing can now happen until I unlock this route. And it basically means that any accessories that are associated with this route are now locked out. So I can't now accidentally change this point. And I can't accidentally change the signal as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move the train through the junction. Now this feature is really useful if, like me, sometimes you forget to set the points in the right manner. It will give you a visual representation, say, actually, no, you can't set that point, it's part of a route. Are you sure you want to do this? Some of you might find that irritating, because now to unlock that, I need now to press that route again, and it unlocks it. And now I can now change any of the accessories as they're unlit. If I press it again, it's now locked, and I can't change the route of the points, and I can't change the aspect of the signal. So I'm going to unlock that now and press Croxley to mainline, and it's going to change the signal to red, and it's going to set the route to the main line. And again, it's locked it out, and I can't press Croxley to branch line because this is illuminated and it's controlling each of the different accessories within that route. Any accessory that is associated with this route is locked out when this is illuminated. So if it's unilluminated, I can now safely throw the points and throw the signal without the need to press a route, and I can move the train back and forth. And now I can go back and I can set Croxley to mainline, and even if the point is already set, it will then carry on with the program and say, okay, the point's set, I don't need to do anything, it won't run anything, but I do need to change the signal. So if I change the signal there to green and press this, all it's going to do is change the signal back to red. It's not going to change the accessory because it knows it's already in its correct position. So that's how to set up a route. It's a really great feature, especially as if you've got a slightly bigger layout like mine. Don't forget, on iTrain free, you can only go up to 32 separate accessories, which is good for me because I don't have that many. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I'm using this on my layout. Okay, so this is my layout plan for Woodford Wells. So let's take a look at some of the features that I've got. Okay, so I've got various different turnouts, and I've also got some slips. So let's inspect the property of the slip so we can see how it's being set up in the double usage. So because it's got two separate point motors, two separate point blades that needs to throw, you need to have 1 and 2, a double usage, and then you can give it two addresses, 903 and 904, and then it's a slightly bit of trial and error to make sure 903 is throwing one half the point the right way, the way you expect it to, and 904 is going to do the right thing as well. So once that's all set up, you can then click on the point, keep clicking, and it will scroll through the various different options for that slip. Now, a lot of people using iTrain will think, well, you've not quite set this up, you might put the routes on the actual track plan. Again, as I say, iTrain is a really complicated piece of software. It's really powerful. You can use it to run full automation and full sort of schedules and moving trains from platforms to fiddle yards automatically, and it will work out what sidings are empty. If you've got things like relays and block detection in place. Now, because I don't have block detection in place, I'm basically using the route icons as basically a little control panel. And just as we said last time, if anything is illuminated, it means it's locked out. And if you've got a little lock symbol on the point, I can't change this point and I can't change this signal. It's all locked out because that route is set. If I unclick that, I can now change some of these points. So all of my routes are set up for every possible scenario and every possible loco movement that I might want to do. So let's have a look, platform 1 to yard 1, and I've got it to illuminate the whole route. So it's really nice and obvious to me what route is currently selected, what movement am I currently doing. And don't forget, because of these points being locked out, I can't now accidentally change them. I also can't accidentally change other accessories that are related to this route. So part of this route says, okay, set all the signals to red because you're doing a shunt movement and you're going across the main line of the station throat. So I'm not allowed to change platforms 2 and 3 to a go aspect. If I release this, then of course I can change these to go if I want to. So again, if I set, say, platform 1 to Croxley, it's going to lock out all the other signals on the other platforms because I don't want trains to then start moving into the main line when already one route is set. And it gives you this nice sort of illuminated, this is the route that you're doing, this is the movement you are currently working with. You can have more than one route set at the same time. Because this route doesn't interfere with the parcel head shunt, I can actually set the parcel head shunt as well. And I can also set the yard runaround independent of that. So I can have more than one route selected, providing as long as those routes don't interfere with each other. I can't now set platform 1 to Croxley 2 via Fiddle Yard 2 because Croxley 1 and Fiddle Yard 1 is already in use. These points here are already in use, these ones are already in use as well. So I have to deselect the route, unlock the route, and then change it to the one I want. Some people will find that slightly irritating. I think it's a really good feature because it tells me make sure you're doing the right movement before you start moving trains. So as I've said, iTrain is a really powerful, really in-depth piece of software. It does much more beyond just creating track diagrams. All I'm going to use it for is to control my points because, as I said, my tablet seems to have packed up. But it will do much more than this. As I've shown you, you can control locomotives. If you've got block decoders and block feedback set up, it will even decipher where those locomotives are on your layout as well. And unfortunately, I'm not going to go into that because I haven't got any block detection on my layout. But you can kind of tailor iTrain to your needs. You can use it to control a couple of locomotives if that's all you're going to do, or you can build a nice kind of track plan and operate all your points and switches just as though you were a real-life signalman.
Okay guys, thanks for watching. I hope you found that a useful introduction to iTrain. And stay tuned, I've got some really good stuff coming up and a big announcement I should just share with you. If you're following the progress on the website, do go to www.callingallstations.co.uk. You'll notice I've partnered up with a chap who's making live destination boards. These are really cool. Go and check it out on the website. And these are fed by basically the National Rail API or I think the trainline.com or one of the other ones. But basically it gets real-time updates of a selected station and it displays them on kind of a destination board display. And hopefully I'm going to be testing one of the prototypes and doing sort of a review, unboxing sort of thing. And I've got sort of a kind of partnership with the website. I'm going to promote it for him and do some videos and hopefully get sent some of this stuff. So look out for that. It's going to be really exciting and we'll do an update on that soon. But as always, thanks for watching. Keep subscribing. Pop to the website www.callingallstations.co.uk and give us a subscribe, a like, a follow, a retweet, all that stuff on Twitter. Thanks very much guys and I will see you soon.